Hello everyone, and welcome to my series of Halloween stories. I really do hope you enjoy these tales. Spooky, panic-inducing, and with a nice variety of furry and true fear. Our first story is one I've written, specifically about my experience with the game Changed. Changed is a hard adventure game made by Dragon Snow, and you can find links to the game in the description. If you'd like me to continue with this more as a continuous series, let me know. I've gotten rather obsessed with the game. Please, enjoy. Changed. Chapter 1. Awoken. You awoke with the noise of rushing water. Your body felt like it was floating, harsh plastic against your face. Air came in easily, but stopped all too suddenly. Nothing. You tried to breathe, but nothing came to you. You thrash and struggle about. The mask comes undone, and you feel some liquid splash against you. A sweet taste coats your lips before the water vanishes entirely. A hard buzzer begins. An alarm? Insufficient power detected. Main generator has failed. What? Elevator power is offline. Office area power is offline. Library power is offline. Life support will be offline soon. Life support? In order to ensure the survival of the subject is to be released urgently. Was that you? What's going on? Why? What was... Your muddy thoughts are cut away as the announcement begins again. Backup power is online. Please seek help as soon as possible. Something opens, and you're thrown out into a torrent of rushing water. Instantly you collapse. Everything is weak. You feel like you couldn't stand up if you had wanted to. Soft lights shine above you. The dazzling glare makes you unable to open your eyes, but you squint hard to see the area around you. Slowly, you manage to get up. Everything comes into focus. A lab room? There's a table with various things on it. Behind you is some kind of tall pod, dripping water and holding an air mask. You must have been in there for how long? Your hands and feet are weak. Your head is dizzy and you're completely soaked through. You feel so hungry, as though you hadn't eaten in years. You have nothing save a small pair of black shorts you somehow ended up in. They are tight against your body and do nothing to help you against the cool air. You're fairly certain they aren't even your own shorts. Obviously, you've been kidnapped. Your last fuzzy memory before whatever coma you've been in confirms this. Being attacked by some group of people and tied down. What had happened back then? Your memories aren't coming back properly. You're confused, but you understand that the most important thing right now is escape. You immediately move to the door, tall and steely white with several yellow and black cones and markings around it, but it's locked shut. There doesn't seem to be any kind of switch nearby either. You turn around and examine the rest of the room. Parts of the walls have fallen apart. Pipes and wires run along in the dark hole. It's deep. You can almost see the ventilation shaft through everything. The hole is far too small to enter, however. A nearby panel seems to control the life support. It hasn't been touched in a while, coated in thick dust. You tried to press the switch. A heavy click sounds out, but nothing happens. No response. A little bit closer, and there's some strange white goo splashed against the wall. Considering your situation, well, it's likely best not to touch it. A slip of paper is stapled to the wall near a small vent. Rehabilitation training plan. After the subject is awake, Please be sure to instruct the subject to complete the rehabilitation training under surveillance. Maybe to check and see if your limbs work properly? Everything does feel very, very weak. You pause, hearing something moving around in a vent nearby. You turn to examine it and see something glowing inside. Some kind of switch? You bend to open the vent, but it seems only to open from the inside. The noise came again, like something was dragging and sliding around inside. You take a couple steps back. Maybe there was another way out. You move to the table, stopping and grabbing a clipboard. Notes are written on the first page hastily. Don't make any contact with them. Once you touch them, you will lose yourself immediately. If you don't want to be a part of them, just be sure to avoid them. Bless you, survivor. Who are they? The handwriting is sloppy and it doesn't look like it could have been written by the kidnappers. It's obviously a warning. Instantly, you find yourself hoping this is all just a reality show. A loud bang catches your attention. Dropping the clipboard, you turn to find a weird sight already on you. Some kind of milky white blob is crawling up your bare legs. You cry out and struggle, falling to the ground. It's no use. Instantly, you feel your body going numb. Everything feels cold. You can't even scream as it coats over you fully. It passes your face and you convulse as everything goes black. You feel dizzy, cold. Your body seems to change and warp as this jelly-like thing coats you. Your very thoughts dim. And then everything feels okay. Like you've lost bones, organs, everything that made you human. Your face extends and a feeling grows from under your tailbone, or what had been your tailbone. You shiver and stop moving, staring down into what's left of the water all over the floor, slowly draining into a sewer grate. Your body is nearly completely white. It feels sticky, yet fluffy as well, like it can't decide on what way it should settle down. You stare down at your hands. No. Pause. It's so strange. What's happened to you? Where are you? Like a sharp pull on the back of your head, you're yanked. You fall onto the floor and cough, scrambling up. Terror fills your body out of nowhere. You find feet looking down. Not pause. Nothing had happened. The memory. Nightmare? What had that just been? You had been attacked by a living milk pudding. So, what happened? You shook your head, getting up slowly. You shake yourself off and look around before grabbing the clipboard off the table. Hadn't you dropped it, though? Slowly, you turn back the paper and continue reading. The smart sewage system will automatically absorb the sewage above the sewer opening. Do not dump untreated sticky substances, samples, or chemicals into the sewer, especially not biological samples. You stare at the page for a while before setting it down. There was nothing else of use here. You spent the better part of 5 minutes looking around, until you came to the vent again. You couldn't bring yourself to get very close, despite the glowing switch. However, noise came from the vent again, and you felt your skin crawl. Was that thing? Was it really there? You took a few steps back. The vent burst open and you cried out, running to the end of the room. It seemed surprised but immediately made its way toward you. You couldn't go anywhere. You were stuck. It was going to get you. Had that been a vision, something to help you? What use was it when you didn't know how to get away? You felt your breath coming in quickly, the slimy white blob less than a yard away. Until it slipped? The little blob began to slide down, revealing the sewer grate below itself. A soft plunk was heard a few seconds later, and you fell to your knees. Swallowing, you got up and made for the vent. No noise came from it this time. Weaving your arms through, you finally found the switch and turned it. A loud clunk sounded behind you. and you saw the door's light turn green. What had that been exactly? You don't know, but that first paper had tried to warn you. Thankfully, you were still alive. You swallowed and pushed open the door into the unknown. A loud buzz could be heard. You turned to see a small monitor high on the wall turn onto a blue screen. A voice, a bit deep and somewhat annoyed yet still calm, speaks up. "This is not part of my plan." With another buzz, the monitor shuts off, and you're left alone. Plan? What plan? You call for them to answer you, but nobody came. You turn and push out of the room finally. You step into the dark, and slowly, lights flicker on around you. The whole place is a mess of wires, broken floor tiles, cardboard boxes, white fluid on the ground, and various papers. Newspapers, documents, and more. It looked like it had been abandoned for a long time. Where was the kidnapper? There seemed to be no trace of any life here. Shuddering, you had a hunch that your adventure may have only just begun. Of course, it may just be because you're cold. Beside the door, you notice these things first. A small set of lockpicking tools, though you have no idea how to use them. A little recorder sits there as well. Picking it up, you press a button, and it begins to play. Report record. It was the same voice as just before. The subject is very miraculously alive. Unfortunately, I don't have a way to open the one-way security door. I'm not sure if the subject will become a hidden danger. Maybe I should cut off the power to the life support system? I want to try to solve the problem without causing casualties. I'll watch it for a while. Report finished. You stare down at the recorder, licking your lips slowly. This whole thing was not feeling well for you. Despite that, it didn't seem like whoever it was... Well, at least it seemed that they were hesitant to outright kill you. That vision, though, it just wouldn't leave your mind. You looked around slowly and find the next thing to catch your eye. A little yellow sticky note. "I've marked important things with an exclamation point for you." It took a moment, but the horrible spelling finally came through to your dazed and razzled head. Was this the same as the person who was trying to warn you before? Maybe someone was actually trying to help? Slowly, you looked all around for other hints. Several doors stood around you. On the wall with your door, there were 4 others just like it, and at both ends of the hall were other smaller doors. First, you decided to try the one closest to your room. It opened, and warm air brushed you quick. You stepped out onto a balcony and looked out into the rising sun. Wind blew past, warm. The light shined down on collapsed buildings below. You were on some tall tower that you hadn't seen in any news or books recently. The scenery below is strange. Pieces of ruins and tall standing towers. Just where was this place? You felt puzzled, staring at the desolate ruins below. Were these the remains of an ancient city? You found it wasn't likely that you'd get any help from all the way up here. You take a long moment to stare out into the sun and feel the warm wind before turning back and take your leave of the sight. A strange feeling flowed through your body. It didn't matter what was happening. What was to come, you'd get out. You'd go home for sure. You felt yourself filled with determination. You begin with the other doors in order, stopping outside the first beside the door you came from. A little black box seemed to show a keypad. Was it used to open something? You had no idea what the lock could be. Turning to the door, you tried to open it, but it refused to budge. Locked. Next door, then. You continued on, walking past a shattered mug and minding your step. You were barefoot, after all. The next door opened simply. Aside from the various boxes and papers strewn about, It was the same as the one you had been held inside of. You pause and pick up a newspaper. It was all about some vigorous new flu. The paper is very old and has yellowed quite a bit, but the date seems recent. You're a little surprised by how long you must have been kidnapped. It must have been months. A set of notes sit on a clipboard, and you begin to examine them as well. If our civilization is to continue, we must change our genes. There's no other choice. Is everything still too late? Either way, as long as someone can survive, it doesn't matter if it's as human. The next paper is full of terms and chemical formulas. Not one bit of it sticks to you, and it begins to make your head hurt. It doesn't matter if it's as human? What exactly was that supposed to mean? You thought back to the weird goo and shook your head. You didn't want to think about those kind of things. Everything would be fine. A few pictures lay at the back of the clipboard. Another human stands, pushed against a wall with one of those white blobs in front of them. In the next picture, it's coating the person's arm, seeming to drip and cover his hand. The next picture reveals a disturbing photo of some animal seeming to melt apart. A white dog? Wolf? Something very obviously white and dripping, as though made of gel. The final picture shows it standing up properly, staring back with the eyes of the human from before, and giving the camera an uncomfortable wave. The body is sticky yet fluffy looking as well, like it's sticking to itself and melting and dripping. You dropped it all, heart racing. What the fuck? Was it real? Was that really what would happen to you if you had touched that blob? That vision? Had something truly warned you? Some final destination bullshit saving your life? It seemed like the lab was studying ways to turn humans into animals. You swallow, trying to get your breathing under control. Another yellow sticky note catches your eye, and you recognize the poor spelling. Come to the library. I'll wait for you. A library? So then you needed to find some library. Hopefully whoever was helping you out, you prayed they were still there. Leaving the room, you stop in front of the next door, but pause. A little note is pasted in white on the door beside it. A black exclamation point is drawn above it in Sharpie. You take the time to read it over. Some kind of report of everyday things. The experiment failed again, and I sealed the room, but this crisis almost blew the whole floor up. The tiles for the floor repair have been sent. According to my design, the pattern is composed of large square tiles and smaller ones. The large tiles are the key. The password of the warehouse is written on the floor of the hall. A weird feeling came to you. What was this? Some kind of sick escape room? What purpose was there to hide a password like that? You took time to open the other doors first, giving a bit of attention to everything. You felt sick as soon as you opened the door. 5 or 6 of the little milky blobs crawled along the floor. You slammed the door shut but paused. There had been boxes blocking them from attacking you. You opened the door again and enter. They didn't seem to be able to get to you, so you looked around a bit and spotted another recorder. Report record. A familiar voice. The bastard went upstairs again to find the subject, but he failed to open the door. Obviously, that bastard knew about the surviving subject. I've tried to catch him several times, but he's far too smart compared to his kin. I will block all passages upstairs later. I don't want to play any more games. Report finished. You took a long breath. Someone was absolutely watching you. Apparently this person, the one who trapped you, was having trouble with this other person. Someone was willing to help, and even despite the kidnapper's obvious fury. That warmed your heart a bit. You set down the recorder, but as you stood back up and turned to the door, you found it completely blocked off by white goo. You felt frozen in your tracks as it began to shift and wiggle. A mass of the stuff detaches and you're pressed back up against the wall of boxes. You have nowhere to run. The creature easily begins to quiver over your body. Your calves become numb and itchy, like being wrapped in a fluffy blanket. A weird tingling feeling comes over you. The goo begins to change your very skin cells. Your nerves malfunction. You back up tightly against the wall, unable to move and barely standing still so you don't collapse. As these things spread over you, your lower body loses all feeling, but you don't feel uneasy. The feeling is very comfortable, relaxed, natural. Your consciousness fades, falling a bit off as though you're in a trance. Your legs seem to meld together with this mound of goo. You can feel strange, intriguing sensations as the goo helps support your legs. You seem to be being eaten. The goo spreads over your body, but you're not afraid at all. You feel like you know these things won't try to hurt you. After all, they're really gentle. It feels comfortable. Before you know it, the goo completely sticks to your body, covering your chest. Your legs feel a little uncomfortable, but you can still stand. The goo on your chest spreads evenly. The layer slowly rises and falls with your breath as though it were another part of your figure. Your face, head, and even your hair are not spared. You find that your legs have become arched like an animal's, and your mouth seems to have been elongated. Very clearly, you notice the adorable little black nose at the end of your new muscle. It feels like cramping spreading all over your body, though it only lasts a moment as your very bones are being changed. Yet you feel comfortable throughout the process. You're confused, likely because of all your sensory nerves having been paralyzed. You don't even feel like you've been wrapped in something anymore. It's like you were a piece of ice, slowly melting into a pool and becoming a part of it. A large, white, fluffy tail sticks out from between your legs, made of some kind of goo, yet it didn't feel heavy or even sticky. You picked it up, soft and nice in your arms. It felt good to hug it close to yourself. Maybe you had always wondered what it'd be like to have a tail. You hug it tightly, the fluffy tail growing on your new body. You're a little happy to be like this. You feel full of joy and contentment. Then you're jerked by the back of your head. Something bangs into your head hard, and you find yourself outside of the door you had been looking into. Your heart is hammering as though feeling and perspective had suddenly come back over you at once. You're breathing rapidly, and your vision is in two for a moment. You hug yourself and find human skin all over your normal hands. It was just another vision. What happened then? Were you saved from making a mistake once more? Slowly you shook and stood again. Your legs felt weak and numb, but at least you were still yourself. You push onward, not able to sit down and ignore everything. It was time to go. You needed out. You step into the last room and look around. 2 more blobs seem to sense you immediately, and just before they can head toward you, you slam the door shut. Nothing of use in there anyway, not that you could see. Trash piled up everywhere. Rubbing your eyes, you look around the room. Despite the trash, you can clearly see large panels on the ground mixed with smaller ones. The trash, though, it blocks your view of what it might be saying. So, with no other choice, you move the trash all around, slowly revealing a string of numbers. 7, 1, 4, 2, 1. That's the code. You feel certain of it. So in a rush, you move to the box and punch it in quickly. 2 harsh clunk noises signed out, and you turn to see the lights above the far door at the end of the hall turn green, just as the door beside you opens. A large beast with black eyes and a gooey white body steps out. It immediately turns to you and gives you a horrible smile, before immediately running at you. You rush off, trying to get away. You're so close, but a box falls over. Just barely dodging it, another small goo thing seeps out of the box and grabs you. You're held down just in time for the monster giving chase to grab you. It's more than a head taller than you, white fur dripping and melting. It easily grabs you and hoists you up. This is far different from before. It drags you into its body, slowly drawing you into its own figure. You struggle and fight as the goo seeps over your body and closes around you. There's no time for you to think things might be okay, or do anything, or even think more than crying out for help. Soon enough, you're pulled in and your mind is rendered. It feels like you're being torn apart from the brain. You can only vaguely watch as this bipedal wolf thing shifts, using your body to advance its own, becoming some strange mix of four-legged wolf with the top portion of what it had been before. Like some kind of wolf centaur? Your mind begins to fade. Fear is the only thing that you can feel. Until, like sweet release, something grabs at the back of your head, and you feel yourself being slammed into a wall once more. You're dazed and shaking. But as you come to, you hear the clunk and see lights flash on. The door beside you opens, and once more that horrible, uncaring beast steps out and moves toward you. It takes everything you have to get up and move. You stumble past it, barely evading its arms, and you sprint past the box as it falls off. A gooey creature gives chase alongside the beast. You scramble for the door and force it open. A latch is set on the other side, and you instantly seal the door. It pounds against your back, and you fall to your butt, coughing and dry heaving. You felt even weaker than before. The visions, they were helpful, but far too detailed. You felt like retching. Slowly, you begin to pick yourself back up and take in your surroundings. This wasn't the end, and despite these horrible feelings, you would not give up. You were determined to find an escape. The room was filled with various boxes and metal containers, as well as many more of those black and yellow cones. A little yellow sticky note catches your interest, and you read it. Don't step in those stains. The cat will hear you. Use the obstacles I set up. Since the cat gets tired often, and because it's kinda dumb, it'll only attack you in a straight line. I've marked the places you can hide for you. Come, please meet me alive, human. A little skull-like logo is stamped on the message. Still, the same hard-to-read misspelling, which means that this was definitely your helper. Human, though. Why would they call you that if they weren't human? And what was this about a cat, though? Why would you need to be evading a cat? Slowly, you pushed your way around the boxes. Looking all around, you continued on, shivering a bit, until you stepped in something kind of sticky. You looked down and froze. A brownish stain? Weren't you just told not to step in those? A sharp meow sounded out. It was wrong, though. Garbled. You looked around and saw a little cat waking up from a nap on a large pillow. It was brown, a tabby coloration. It stretched out and noticed you. Its tongue shot out, licking its lips. Just as it began to move, you realized the mistake. When it stepped forward, the body trailed behind some, melting away. This was just another one of those things. You rushed off and dove behind a set of cones, barely scrambling behind them as the cat tried to follow. But it seemed stuck, not seeming to realize it could just go around or even between them if it squeezed. You slowly trailed back, looking for an escape. A long marked-off area of cones. You dashed from the safe spot and ran toward it. Just as you were about to get away, the cat lunged at you. How fast was this thing? Barely, you dodged it and scrambled to turn around. However, its body began to melt more, and it looked like it was panting. You dove to hide just before it could pull itself back together. It still couldn't reach you. You kept running again, looking for the next place to run. You dart out, and the cat comes after you until... dead end. Your eyes widen until you see beside you a small paper and a rope. Pull me! You don't even hesitate. A strange effigy of black cloth drops from above you, waving arms wildly about. A little voice recorder in it begins to shout, "Bad kitty, leave the human alone! Go on, get!" The cat halts, hunching back and hissing. You take the sudden moment to run again. You step all around a maze of boxes and cones, arrows leading to a door. You throw yourself at the small door as it comes into view and spin around after stepping through it. It's locked away, and you heave. Slowly you fall to the ground amidst a pile of papers, photos, and more. With the help of the decoy left behind by your mysterious person, you were able to escape. You're breathless and frightened, but you try to stay calm. It's useless. You swallow and read as you begin to catch your breath. The building is tough as hell. I think I heard someone say it was built as a robotics company with some bad history originally. They ended up going bankrupt, though. It's defensible, and it doesn't seem like our experiments will be able to get out. At least not easily. I just wish I could go out and get some fresh air more often. Working like this non-stop, it's exhausting. We just need to push on further, though. The next page has photos attached. The beasts. They're really clean. We aren't sure how. Apparently, despite being made of latex and melting all over the place, debris and dirt are expelled and dripped off very easily. I'm kinda envious. There's still a failed project, of course, so I'm not eager to let one take me as a host. They're more like parasites. Still, most subjects seem to merge with them, becoming one new thing. So, if the worst comes to pass, it's better than letting myself die out completely. The pictures show a series of cells being taken over by a white fluid. It rips them apart and takes the cell's innards for itself, becoming something strange and new. You're just not sure what. Hunger, fear, and loneliness suddenly hits you like a flood. For a poor person who'd been in prison for so long, this is nearly the limit for physical fitness and reason. You're mentally beginning to lose yourself as these things happen. These visions aren't helping that case either. You're not sure what you can believe anymore. Those creatures make you feel unsafe, even here behind the closed door. It's the first time you've wanted someone, anyone, to appear, even if it's the kidnappers. But there's nothing here. Not even some clothes to provide just a bit of comfort. Only the monsters and the endless unknown. Your legs feel weak, but you have no choice. You must go on. You are determined to walk out of this building alive. Immediately after taking a few steps forward, something bursts through a vent in the ground. It attaches itself to you. You fight, screaming and yelling as you bash yourself against the walls and roll around. Suddenly it lets go, quickly crawling back into a vent. The tears come quickly then. You can't even move away as you watch it slink off. You curl up and cry. It's all just too much. Your head is dazed, you're hungry, and you just want someone, anyone, to come and comfort you and tell you that it's going to be all right. You lay there, crying for minutes alone. But nobody came. Slowly, your crying subsides. Eventually, you pull yourself together once more and sniffle. You move, pressing onward. Near a doorway, a white paper is taped to the wall. You pause and take time to read, hoping to lose your senses by diving into the words. The maintenance of the vent system is at an impasse. People are making claims of seeing strange shadows in the vents. Today, my colleague told me an experimental sample escaped into a vent. You stared at it before ripping it off the wall and crumpling it up, throwing it hard at the door far behind you. That would have been useful sooner. It felt good, though, blowing off some steam. So you press further, passing into another door. A long room filled with hooks and tall tanks stood before you. You stepped into a metal walkway, high above everything else. Buzz! You look around to see a monitor on the wall, turned on to a blue screen once more. Don't go any further. Once again, that voice speaks up to you. You swallow and pause, listening. Did you wake up because of the power outage just a minute ago? You're a bit stunned, but you nod quickly. The life support chamber will automatically release the subject when the power is off. What a superfluous design. He sounds dead inside. Annoyed for sure, though. Oh, well, I've got a potential hidden danger running around in the Institute. I have no time to deal with your accident now, so you'd better just stay there and not move an inch. You want to speak up, but he cuts you off quickly. I know you don't know anything about it right now, but I don't have the time, nor do I want to answer any of your damn questions. I just want to solve one of my own problems now. You felt your face scowl up. That problem being you. He cleared his throat. Just need to turn this on. A loud automatic voice sounded out alongside a buzzer. Detecting the signal of a fugitive subject. Starting final safety mode. You turn and look all around. It is strictly forbidden for subjects to leave the storage area of the warehouse, and the violators will be subjected to coercive measures. Suddenly, red lights fall to the ground all around you. Lasers? Several lines of red light sprang up all over the place. Just as quickly, though, some blinked and faded away. Wait, did that bastard actually seal the ray projector with fucking scotch tape? The male voice sounded out once more. It seems he's determined to let you go to the library. Fine, whatever. The rest of these lights are enough to trap you. Once more the automatic voice rang out. Detecting subject's vital activity signals. Those rays won't kill you. Just makes you unable to move in other ways. So stay there and stay still. I'll see you soon. The monitor finally cut out. Slowly you approach the lasers. They shifted and flickered off and on every so often. You had to be very careful here. You'll only be able to escape, find out who's helping you, and who'd trap you by moving forward. You wouldn't give up, even if it felt so hopeless. You moved along, slowly weaving between the lasers and holding your breath. The movement was slow going. Suddenly they all cut out. Your heart raced for a moment. Hesitation held you, but you broke free after a couple seconds and made for a break for it. Too late. The lasers turned back on, and you were struck by 3 at once. Detecting fugitive subject. Latex bestialization device has been activated. You felt your body burn and you cried out, but no noise came. Instead, a black substance poured out of your mouth. It all happened so rapidly. Your body shifted and changed, burning hot and covered, turning to some black gooey substance from the inside out. You tried to scream as pressure pushed at your tailbone, extending your spine backward. Your bones broke and popped before melting away. Latex bestialization is complete. Restraining fugitive. A glass case came down around you suddenly, and you were trapped. Banging on the glass, you tried to get out, but you were gone. It was far too late. A single mistake had cost you everything. You couldn't even cry. The feeling refused to come to you. A different feeling came instead. A tug at the back of your brain. Your head slammed into the door behind you. Lights flickered on and off. One more try. You struggled to your feet and moved to the lasers. Slowly you ventured the path taken before, heart on edge for the time when they would go out. When it happened, you didn't even hesitate. You ran past and dove for the door, tumbling into it and rolling for a second. It didn't open, but no lasers followed you. Finally, you were in the clear. No detected fugitive. Due to lack of power, capture mode is automatically shut down. With a little buzz, the lasers faded away, and you were finally left safe. You continued on, proud to overcome something so terrifying, even if it did feel so scary for you to have to live through each threat before you, knowing that at any time it might not end there. You step into a long, dark room. It's completely quiet here. Slowly you move along, stopping as you see a set of photos set into a wall. It shows a small blob of the white liquid. What you now know is some kind of liquid latex. The second picture is a little yellow dog sniffing at it and seeming to be about to lick it up. The third picture shows that same dog, melting away and dripping as it looks up at a scientist. Some human in a lab coat with a blue and white scarf and a clipboard. The last picture shows the dog, wearing the scarf and seeming to be writhing on the ground. The body is much more human now, and the clipboard is thrown to the side. The picture is slanted and a bit motion blurred. You shake your head and press on. Slowly you make your way to a long window. The sun came up just a bit more. Despite the ruined city, it's beautiful. The sun fills you, and you're determined to see it rise up in open air once more. Again and again. Walking away a bit, a white paper is stuck to a wall. Using the light of the sun to read, it stated, "That virus is some kind of super virus like never before. Completely unprecedented. Long incubation period, various ways of infection as well as concealment. It can disguise itself during the incubation period, meanwhile spreading to all people who have direct or even indirect contact with the victim. It perfectly exploits our genetic defects. There's nothing we can do. This is the end of humanity. Our end. The demon to restrain us has finally appeared. But if our plan succeeds, if our theory is at least correct even, all of this can still be avoided." Chills run down your body. You vaguely remember the news talking about a new flu strain, but nobody seemed worried about it too much. Was this what that had all been about? Right beside it, a yellow sticky note with a similar skull design stamped on it. "Hey, you came here alive! Congratulations! The strange doctor is blocking the passage to the upper floor. I may not be able to see you the first time you wake up, but I will use a message to guide you. I don't know how long it will take for you to wake up. Months? Years? If you see this, go to the library. Who is this mysterious person? They're helping you, at least. The doctor they speak of, you have a hunch that it's the person who's obviously trying to stop you. Despite everything, you push on. You know you'll get out of this. You just have to. You open the door and step into the next series of hell. You know that everything that is about to come will completely change your life. Unknown road ahead, huge tower, mysterious creatures, viruses, latex beasts, mysterious people. You're filled with questions, but you can only continue onward. You push on. Hope does not come by waiting. Thank you for listening.